We know the story of the thief who was crucified with Jesus. Today I want to share three perspectives I have that involve who the thief may have been, God's forgiveness, and meeting God on our time. Welcome to the Struggling Catholic, a place where I ask the tough questions about our faith. If this is something that interests you, please like and subscribe. So help me understand. Everyone knows the story about the thief being crucified next to Jesus and how Jesus told him he would be going to heaven because of his faith. And I know how many people attribute this to Jesus being God and therefore able to do things that might not seem exactly the ordinary practice of the church. That's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about is the possibility of who the thief may have been. What has always intrigued me is how the thief is often pictured. I've heard many people refer that maybe he was someone that was struggling, a commoner, if you will, a person who did what he had to do for himself or his family to survive, stealing just to make it. But maybe he was someone who didn't steal to survive. Maybe he stole because of greed or envy. Even that really isn't the main point when it comes to God's forgiveness. But here's what I think about. What if he was like so many others in this world? Someone who got caught stealing, but that was the least of his crimes. What if he was a robber? What if he was a male prostitute? What if he abused women in horrible ways? Or even worse, children? What if he had taken someone's life or many lives? Personally, I don't think it's a stretch that the thief could have been guilty of far worse crimes than just stealing. And that's something I don't think many people really stop to consider. If it's true, it shows the incredible mercy of our Lord Jesus toward a man who showed faith before dying. Which this brings me to the second thing many people I don't think about. God can forgive anyone at any time for anything. It's literally never too late. One more thing about the thief. Some people say they believe that if the thief would have lived, he would have been baptized and become a faithful follower of Christ. Maybe. But what if he would have been like many people today? You know the type. They have faith and they pray during the toughest moments of life. And that's it. During war times, they call this a foxhole Christian. When soldiers were in the trenches, the foxholes, they prayed and had faith because of the danger they were in. But other times, not so much. What if the thief had come down from that cross and later acted like Peter when he denied Jesus? What if he denied his belief out of fear? Considering the times they were living in, I think that's actually a real possibility. This may seem like a hypothetical that isn't worth the time to consider, but stay with me for a minute because this is the third point I want to make. What if we are meant to meet God on our time? Many Christians struggle with the idea that criminals or terrible people can be saved. We hear about someone dying who we know lived a bad life. They rejected God, they hurt people, they were the worst of the worst. And many of us think if they had lived, they probably would have continued doing the same things they were. So it's hard for someone to imagine that they could enter paradise, they could go to heaven. But what if they were like the thief? What if they were the foxhole Christians? They met Jesus at the exact moment they needed to. And in that moment, they showed faith, and that faith was enough. Regardless of the life the thief led, regardless of what he might have done if he had led, Jesus knew his heart in that moment. And maybe Jesus knew that if he had continued to live, he would have gone back to sin. And maybe that moment on the cross was the moment. Maybe that was the time he was meant to meet God. Let me know what you think. Who do you think the thief was? Do you agree that Jesus can forgive anyone for anything at any time? And lastly, do you think there are some people who are meant to meet Jesus on their time? Thanks for watching. Until next time, may God bless you and yours.